Good morning and welcome to this morning's service. It's good to see all of you here this morning. We'll begin this morning's service with the reading of Sambujo, followed by the reading of Juseige. Juseige, as you know, is a Gatha that's found in the larger Pure Land Sutra, one of three sutras that are important to us in Jodo Shinshu. In this larger Pure Land Sutra is the story of the Bodhisattva Dharmakara, who sets out on a quest to provide a means to which everyone might be able to be free of the difficulties that we cause and experience. And it is this that is at the core of the teachings of the Buddha. How do we resolve these difficulties? And Dharmakara studies with the teacher Lokeshvara Raja and goes on to study and meditate and practice, and eventually returns to his teacher and vows reaffirms his intention to make possible the enlightenment of all beings. And it is this which is contained within this Juseige. So we'll begin this morning's service again with Sambujo, followed by the Gatha Juseige. Namanda, namanda, visnamanda, namanda, namanda, visnamanda. If you would please join now in the reading of the three treasures on page 8 in the service book, in the large service book. Please rise. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One, now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in a life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. Thank you. Please be seated. Again, welcome to this morning's service. This morning, our speaker will be Dennis Akizuki.
Good morning. Please join me in Gassho in reciting the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So welcome to everyone who has joined us for this service, either in person or out there in streaming land. Some of you may even be watching this recording as a recording later. If you're watching us for the first time or a relative newcomer, introduce yourselves in the chat section, which you'll find to the right of the screen. Let us know if you'd like to learn more about Jodo Shinshu, our type of Buddhism. Now, since we resumed in-person services about a month ago, I've noticed there are new faces in the Hondo every week, and I see new faces today. Hondo, by the way, is what we call the main hall of the temple, the places where services occur. How many of you are here for the first time, or maybe haven't been here very often? Okay, why don't you introduce yourselves? Go ahead. Obon Festival. Okay.
I'm Rosalinda, and my history is that my son went to Lotus Preschool,
Oh, cool.
so I wanted to return for a while.
Cool. Welcome to both of you. And
My name is Gretchen. I've been in San Jose for a little over a year and practiced Pure Land in Richmond, Virginia for 7 years.
oh, excellent. Well, welcome. So, if you're kind of new or haven't been around very, very long, I hope you're catching on to things like sutra chanting, which can be difficult. It's difficult for me, some of the sutras. Get things like saying the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. You may be unfamiliar with other words during the Dharma talk. Namo Amida Butsu means, I bow my head to the truth of enlightenment, wisdom, and compassion. So we say Namo Amida Butsu not as a request for something, but as an expression of gratitude for all things that we receive in life and enjoy in life. If you have questions about the meaning of words or concepts or why we do certain things, you can ask after the service. And like I said, if you're watching this via the stream or later, you can, if you're watching during the live stream, you can ask questions in the chat box and hopefully somebody can answer those questions. If you're watching this as a recording, then you can email your question or comment to the Betsuin at sjbc@sjbetsuin.org. Now that's sjbetsuin.org. sjbc@sjbetsuin.org. Now chanting, which we do every week, takes some practice, like I said before. So don't worry about not being able to do it. Follow along and chant everything. And it's difficult because it's actually Japanese translation of the languages of what was spoken or written in Buddhist time. So even Japanese in Japan, they will not be able to understand what's being chanted. And the purpose of chanting is not necessarily to understand what's being chanted. It's kind of just to get into the mood. It's to the rhythm. It's to feel comfortable with chanting it. You feel kind of a oneness when you do chanting and you have a bunch of people. It's kind of a very soothing and kind of a encouraging thing to do. So, things like Juseige, which we chanted, and another one is Junirai. Those are things that I chanted when I was growing up. So I kind of can do them. But then you do things like Sambujo, which we did last week, or Shoshinge, which we do at special services. Those are kind of tougher, and I kind of struggle with them and kind of fumble over them. So the things that we chant are, the words of Buddha as recalled by his disciples, or some of the great Buddhist teachers like Shinran, founder of our sect. You'll see his image to the right of the main part of the altar. And then other ones, they're written by some of the other, what Shinran identified as the 7 masters or great teachers of Pure Land Buddhism. And their images are on the far left. You'll see there's 7 of them right there. So like I said, when chanting, you become familiar with it, it becomes natural. It has this soothing effect. And it puts you in the frame of mind to hear the teachings. Skipping back a little bit, so we did 3 treasures, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Okay, so Buddha is actually Amida Buddha, the image. Amida Buddha wasn't a person, it's sort of like this, it's a representation of Amida Buddha. Some places, rather than having an image of a person, they have the kanji, the Japanese writings, Namo Amida Butsu, I think. Isn't that right? Okay, Rinban says I'm right about that. As we've been trying to reach out in recent years to people who are newcomers, like we have newcomers here, and we're trying to reconnect with people who may have grown up in the temple and for whatever reason have not been around very often. This is important, I think, as we try to raise money to build a replacement to the education building across the street. It's like over 60 years old. It's really looking in its age, and it's not very, doesn't have some of the modern conveniences and necessities for the activities like Lotus Preschool, Dharma School, Japanese language school. So we're about to launch a major fundraising campaign to replace that building. It's a $15 million campaign, very, very ambitious, but it's something we feel that we need to do to replace that building, which has seismic issues, which wouldn't be safe in a major earthquake. More importantly than our planning for the future and building new buildings and renovating the annex, which we did 5 or 6 years ago, like I said, we've been discussing ways to sharing the teachings with more people. We had what mission and vision statements, which some of you may be familiar with. We had a mission statement and a vision statement that we adopted in 2011, and they're good, but I think we felt that they should be more understandable to people. Like, I'll read you the former mission statement. The former mission statement read that the temple's mission was to, quote, to learn and to share the Jodo Shinju understanding of the 3 treasures, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So, to me, I can kind of understand that. But somebody who's maybe looking around for some place to come to service, they look at that and it might turn them off. It's like, what's Jodo Shinshu? They might understand what Buddha is, but Dharma and Sangha. So we wanted to make it more accessible to people. And by the way, Dharma is the Buddhist teachings. Sangha is the community of Buddhists. So And Jodo Shinshu means true Pure Land school, and Pure Land Buddhism is a major branch of Buddhism, and it focuses on rebirth in the Pure Land. And that's a very simple kind of explanation of it. So we felt, again, that the statement should be simpler, more to the point, more understandable to people. We wanted to avoid using words that people aren't familiar with. So after many months of discussion, writing, and rewriting, we came up with this mission. This is a quote: "Be a community of peace, happiness, and understanding by sharing and practicing Buddhist teachings." Again, be a community of peace, happiness, and understanding by sharing and practicing Buddhist teachings. So that's kind of tells you our aspiration, to be a home for people based on what Buddha taught, what Shinran taught, what others taught. Here's the old vision statement. It's kind of long, so bear with me. Envision a place that is thriving, vital, and meets the needs of its members. Envision a place where an individual can hear the call of the Nembutsu and awaken to the reality of life through learning, practice, and ritual. Envision a place where family and individual histories are appreciated and preserved. Envision a place where everyone in pain and suffering can find support through the kindness and compassion of others and accept it as they are. Help us make the San Jose Buddhist Church Betsuin such a place. And again, I think that's pretty good. I mean, but you need to have some understanding of Buddhism to kind of like to really get what it's talking about. So we wanted again to write something that people who have no background in Jodo Shinshu or Buddhism, they could read it and they can make some sense of it. And so we came up with this quote: "We are striving to create an inclusive environment of unconditional acceptance, respect, and gratitude, where we honor the past, appreciate the present, build for the future, and learn to engage in a life of compassionate action." I'll read that one more time. "We are striving to create an inclusive environment of unconditional acceptance, respect, and gratitude, where we honor the past, appreciate the present, build for the future, and learn to engage in a life of compassionate action." So that we want to be, what that means is we want to be a community of peace, happiness, understanding. We're going to welcome everyone. We're going to appreciate each other for who we are and be grateful for what we have. We're not going to forget where we came from. We're going to enjoy today. We're going to plan for tomorrow. And we're going to be sympathetic and warm-hearted, not just for people who come through the doors of the Hondo, but to everyone. This outlook is what Jodo Shinshu has been about, spreading teachings to everyone so that everyone has a path to enlightenment. Of course, it's easy to write these words. It's a challenge. It's more challenging for us to live up to the words and up to the intent of the mission and of the vision statements. Welcoming to everyone. I'll tell a little story about, 4 or 5 years ago, in the time of regular in-person services when there were more people here, and during a Dharma school service, and that's a service we have for people who, kids and their families who are enrolled in Dharma school. There's a guy who used to come, older, looked like he might be homeless, unshaven, clothes looking like they hadn't been washed in a while, and he would sit in the back, and I was sitting the way back. Now I have to sit kind of in the front, but my preferred place was sitting at the far back of the Hondo. And he sat down, and as we, chanting, going to chant sutras, he was kind of struggling to find the proper page in the service book. And so these Dharma school students, 3 of them, were kind of sitting near to them. They kind of leaned over and they kind of helped him find the page. And I think that's the kind of welcoming somebody who maybe if you saw them on the street, you wouldn't give them a second look. right? Or maybe even try to avoid that person. And I think that's the kind of thing we're trying to be, where we welcome the person here and do the same kind of things if we see them on the street. Months and months later, I saw the same gentleman, and he actually came to several services. He came into the office. I happened to be in the office, and he came to the person at the reception desk, and he had a quarter, and he put the quarter down and kind of bowed, and he left. So that was kind of a very profound kind of thing, you know. Quarter didn't seem a lot, but it was significant to him. And it was just touching to see that kind of show of appreciation, I think, for maybe, who knows, for the services that he attended, or maybe just something he heard in one of the services. So again, I think, you know, it's sometimes we don't know how our gestures and our welcoming attitude to somebody, how that affects people, but obviously it kind of affected him in such a way where he felt he wanted to show his appreciation. So again, we're human, you know. At times we're going to have to remind ourselves and each other about what we're here for, what we're here to teach, share the teachings. We're here to be a community of where everybody is welcome. It's where we can be a second home, where we're comfortable coming to service, where we see people that we've known for a long time, or maybe people that we just met, and we greet them, and we talked about what happened in service or what's happening in our lives, and being comfortable enough to do that. These words, I think, in the mission and the vision statements, they have to come alive. They have to inspire us. They have to prod us to action in our lives and everyday actions. So we kind of have to be what we say we want to be, right? It's just not enough to say them. It's actually, we have to be them, and we have to act on the teachings and reflect upon the teachings and share them with one another and be good to one another. So thank you very much. Please join me in Gassho and reciting the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Let's see. So we have a Gatha this morning, Ondokusan. Ondokusan, I think the one that we would normally sing is the Gatha that's found on Ondokusan II. So page 220 in the service book. 220. Yeah, that one. So please rise and join in singing Gatha Ondokusan on page 220.
Oh
this Gatha, which we just sang, is it's a verse that was written by Shinranda, again, the founder of this tradition of Buddhism. Well, the person we consider to be the founder, he never intended to found a tradition of Buddhism. But in his writings, he wrote many of these poems, and this Ondokusan is something that has been translated or put into music and is sung regularly. Again, thank you very much for your presence here this morning. Next week, we have a regular service. We continue with our 10 o'clock service. But then the following week, September 4th, is a Labor Day weekend, so we're taking a break on that weekend. That's the Labor Day weekend, September the 4th. On September the 11th, we come back after 2.5 years of being absent from our Hondo. The Dharma school, I saw the Dharma school superintendent, I guess that was yesterday, and she had a meeting with her teachers and with the parents who are going to be the organizing the Parents Association, Dharma School Parents Association. And we talked about all the students coming back, and there will be preparations so that when they come back, when we all come back to the temple, we will have in place protocols that will keep everyone as safe as possible. So there may be some reluctance or some uncertainty, and each individual makes a decision, such a decision to return or not, according to their own needs. They recognize what is possible and what is not possible. But we start again on September the 11th in a couple of weeks, and we kind of look forward to that. At the same time, we want to be sure that everything is in place to the best of our ability to provide a safe environment for everyone who comes to the temple. Thank you very much, Paul Endo, for handling our broadcast this morning, and again to Dennis Akizuki for your Dharma message, and to all of you for attending this morning's service. As we conclude, will you please join in Gassho and Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.